I mean, generally, Ayush, I think what's really interesting about air quality as a service is what makes any as a service model interesting. And that is both in how you define the value proposition to customers, because it's a different proposition, isn't it, to selling equipment? But it's also a very different proposition as a business, delivering on a promise as an as a service model compared to delivering as a promise on a piece of equipment. And I thought that would be the interesting thing to talk about from an air quality perspective, because we haven't really had that conversation. From your perspective, like, do you think there's some broad lessons that you've learned and the industry can learn from the practicalities of delivering air quality as a service?
Absolutely, Simon. First of all, thank you so much for having me here. And this is something which is very close to us, and we've been working on it for the last 7, 8 years now. So if I just focus on why are we looking and why are we doing anything around clean air as a service? Why are we even thinking about it? Why are we not just selling hardware? Why are we not selling the air quality monitors and the air filters? The basic difference between us and most of the companies that we've seen out there is that we are not trying to sell a hardware. We are promising an indoor air quality limit. So, irrespective of what happens in the building, in general uses, we'll ensure that the indoor air quality is 90% better than the outdoor air quality. How we do that is also very interesting. But before I answer that, what's important to understand, Simon, is that each building is different in nature. Each building will have different characteristics. Some buildings will have a higher positive pressure in a building. Some buildings will not have a perfect HVAC system. Some buildings will have ventilation systems that were designed for something else but are not really performing that well. They are subpar compared to when they were designed for it, right? So there are multiple issues that go in a building. So just by selling a product which is a plug and play, it will not truly honestly solve the problem in all the buildings. So almost 95% of the buildings that we go to, say after 5 years, 6 years of that building being launched and it's already occupied, it doesn't necessarily work as it was designed to work. You have certain problems. So this is something that we've seen in India and also in UAE. We are operational in Dubai as well. The buildings were designed for say a LEED platinum or LEED gold, but genuinely after 5, 7 years, we see that they're not performing to that level. And that's why it's selling air filter or anything else will not solve the entire problem. What we need to do is need to genuinely understand that building and then figure out what all needs to do, what all needs to be done. Sorry. And it's very important, Simon, that we understand the basics of air quality management. The basics of air quality management, I believe, something that is more important than just the air filter, which we are installing in the air conditioners or the HVAC, is the maintenance of positive pressure in a building. That is extremely important. According to ASHRAE guidebook, we need to maintain at least 2 to 4 Pascal of positive pressure in a building at all times. You might also be aware, Simon, that if we pump in too much air in a building, the amount of energy it will consume to cool that amount of air or heat that amount of air will be exponential compared to using the same stale air again and again, because maintaining that temperature will be far easier. So hence we need to understand what amount of fresh air are we taking, what kind of filtration are we doing, and where all we need to do the monitoring properly. And the entire consulting approach to this is very difficult when we're trying to do a hardware sell. That's why clean air as a service stitches all these three things perfectly, and we are able to design these things as per the client's requirement in that building. And extremely important to our clean air as a service is the promise. And in fact, that is our tagline as well, Simon, that we guarantee indoor air quality. In most buildings, we promise that your air quality will be 90% better than outdoor air quality across the year. In some buildings which are already functioning better, we can guarantee them WHO level of air quality as well, or well building guidelines of air quality.